race behind you. They will stumble, they will fall, but in time, they will join you in the sun.
It's crazy to think what the SnyderVerse fandom has become, where it's come from over the last 7 years. When you really think about it, since 2017, the SnyderVerse fandom has gone from just this fandom that wants to see the Snyder cut of Justice League to raising over $500,000 for suicide prevention to becoming one of the most toxic fan bases in all of pulp culture. And that ride has been relatively wild to this point. And over the last 3 years specifically, we have seen a major shift within that fandom just getting worse and worse. The latest this past week was maybe one of the most vile displays of the toxicity. And yes, many within the SnyderVerse fandom have come out and stated, look, we don't agree with what this person said. But the problem is there are still those within the fandom who say, yes, we agree with what this person is saying. And that's the problem. There is a perception problem within the SnyderVerse fandom. And I, somebody who was very proud to be part of that fandom for a number of years, I stepped away because I saw the direction that things were going with this fandom. We all know what happened. The events that occurred were horrific in some cases, and the people that took part in that, who ruined people's lives and were just complete assholes, should be held accountable. Nobody is saying otherwise. But here in 2024, when we sit here and sit back and take a look at things within the DC films, for fandom that sat there and touted artistic integrity and being honorable, and to constantly spew hate, misinformation, and the toxicity towards the new DC studios and Warner Brothers Discovery, it's pretty hypocritical, don't you think? None of that, though, is really neither here nor there, though, because now is a great opportunity to move forward. Usually when you hit your lowest point, that is the catalyst that can push you in a new direction. And I sort of want to give my thoughts on what can be done to kind of push forward. Like I said, I was part of the SnyderVerse fandom from 2017 to 2022. I put my own money into it. I put my own sweat. I utilized my channel. I did everything I could to raise awareness for the Snyder Cut. I helped push AFSP. We together, all of us, raised more than $500,000 for suicide prevention and awareness. And that was a beautiful cause. But honestly, there is a deep concern that I have and a lot of other people have with the direction that this fandom has been moving. And as I stated, now is a perfect time to readjust, to reassess, and to refocus on what this once honorable movement could be doing moving forward. There's no doubt about it. This fandom is at a pivotal moment. They have the option of continuing down the same path of hatred and hostility and toxicity, or they could go down a new path of being respectful and positivity. This could be a time to define a new constructive direction that really gets down to the core values of what it meant to be part of the SnyderVerse fandom. There was a time ago when I pushed the idea of a new hashtag, and people came at me. No, never surrender, never compromise. And that always kind of irked me a little bit because it wasn't compromise. There was no compromise. Believe it or not, there was never this idea of compromise, because getting anything at all, getting the Snyder Cut, was a long shot. The fact that we've gotten anything is a blessing. But it should never have been about simply getting a movie, getting a completion of a story. That's never what it should have been solely about, especially when we started to see the great things the fandom was doing with AFSP. The best move forward at this point is you have to retire the hashtag #RestoreTheSnyderVerse. It has become synonymous with negativity and divisiveness. You have to separate this campaign from that to reshape the narrative. That's really the only way forward at this point in time. I think the best step forward, animate the SnyderVerse. It separates it enough because we have to start thinking logically. We see what Warner Brothers Discovery and DC Studios is doing. They have put the DCEU to rest. They are looking to the future in a different way. Animation is really a good possible scenario for getting the remaining story of the SnyderVerse. It wouldn't be going against what Zack wants. He's open to it. But most importantly, by shifting away from restore the SnyderVerse to something like animate the SnyderVerse, the message has to be shifted. It needs to be positivity and respect. It's time to engage in constructive actions like awareness for Snyder's unfinished story, rather than attacking James Gunn, attacking Warner Brothers Discovery and executives there, instead of attacking fans who, yes, there are fans who do not like what Zack Snyder created, who do not like what the DCEU was, who are looking forward to the DCU. You don't need to attack them. Even if they attack you, you don't need to attack them. Let's not forget that at one time, the SnyderVerse fandom claimed to always be better than those who were harping on Zack Snyder. Why not get back to that? Another really amazing idea would be to prioritize and return to the fundraising roots in supporting the AFSP once again. We sit here and hear about all the great things the SnyderVerse fandom did years ago. What happened to that? There's this talk of, look at all the great things we did, but there's no more, look at all the great things we're planning on doing anymore. It's spewing hate constantly. It's attacking James Gunn, attacking the actors in the DCU, criticizing anything and everything that's being done. What is constructive about that? And don't give me this stuff about, well, people did it to Zack Snyder and Henry Cavill and Amy Adams back in 2013. It is 2024, people. We need to rise above it. That's the point. We need to push forward. Be constructive. Be respectful. You have to stay on message. Promote Animate the SnyderVerse without undermining other projects. Why go on to Warner Brothers' promotion of a horror film screaming, restore the SnyderVerse? It doesn't make any sense. What that does is it gets fans of other fandoms, of other projects, of other franchises to get annoyed by you, thus creating a more divisive nature and angry fandom. And the biggest thing is, this would not be a campaign and a movement about engaging in social media fights or creating hostility within the fan community. It's not about undermining DC's current projects. The idea here for the long-term vision is that it's a new direction that would preserve the artistic integrity as well as promote positive engagement and redefine what this fandom represents. It would become a shining example of what a fan movement can achieve when rooted in respect, optimism, and genuine support. Does that mean that it would definitely happen? Does that mean that we would get the rest of Zack Snyder's story? There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee if you continue down the path that you would get it. But the guarantee going that route is just pissing more people off. Having incidents like we had this past weekend, like I said, there's a perception problem when it comes to the SnyderVerse movement. And it's up to the fandom to rectify it, to fix it, to change it. And this is the opportunity they have. And if they wait too long, they may miss this opportunity. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. With all that said, of course, smash that like button, hit subscribe. With all that said, hashtag animate the SnyderVerse. I'll catch you all later.
Man is still good. We fight. We kill. We betray one another. But we can rebuild. We can do better. We will. We have to.